Ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to your Big Buck Legends one-on-one podcast.
All right, here we go.
Presented by Kindred Digital, Toy Production Services, and Big Buck Country 1015.
All right, I'm listening.
Each show, we'll sit down and go one-on-one with the country music legends. And from time to time, we'll introduce you to the future legends as well. Pour your favorite drink and sit back and enjoy your Big Buck Legends one-on-one podcast.
All right, I think all the levels are set.
Go.
Let's go.
Here's your host, Jason Toy.
Well, hello once again, everybody. Jason Toy here with you from our studios in Huntington, West Virginia with another edition of our Big Buck Legends one-on-one podcast. In this episode, we're going to sit down with all four members of the Oak Ridge Boys. They are celebrating their 40th anniversary for their big hit Elvira. They have a brand new album out called Front Porch Singin'. And the boys individually have all got different things going on beyond what they do in the group, including the new book for William Lee and baseball interests, honey-do list, and other things as well for the rest of the guys. So we're going to talk a whole lot about all of it. And of course, the brand new album, the brand new tour for the Oak Ridge Boys, Love, Light, and Healing is the brand new single for you to check out too. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as we sit down with all four members of the Oak Ridge Boys. Up first, we're going to sit down with Joe Bonzel. And we start off with Joe talking about the fact that the last time he and I had a chance to sit down and talk, he was a little banged up. He had some surgery.
I was casted up, man. I had that operation on my hand there, and some kind of Dupuytren's contracture, which nobody knows what that is, but it was deforming my hand, so I had surgery, and it fixed it.
I'll say, you back to normal now?
Oh, yeah. I'm back to normal. I'm even, unfortunately for some, I'm even back to picking the banjo.
That's one of the things I was going to ask you about, and out of all the times I've had a chance to sit down and talk to you, and I never realized that you've been playing the banjo since you were a little kid, right?
Oh, no. Oh. I've been playing for about 12 years.
Oh, okay.
So I'm still a student of the instrument. No, I just decided to take it up I don't know why. But had I realized it was so doggone hard to play, I probably wouldn't have taken it up. It took me about 3 years before I could make it sound like a banjo.
Is it more
No, there's no professional banjo players in any danger from me.
I was going to say, did you pick it up to annoy the wife a little bit? Is that what you did?
Her and the cats both. I'll tell you what, man. If I just unclick the case, the cats run for the closet.
It's like turning on the vacuum cleaner, right?
Yeah, exactly. Very much the same thing. Maybe even worse. I don't know.
Joe Bonzel's here with us from the Oak Ridge Boys, and Joe, you got a brand new album out called Front Porch Singin'. Let's talk about that real quick here before we jump into a couple other things. But the question I have when I looked at the album art cover for the new album, for the new CD. When does the shirt and William's beard kind of is there a separation because it just blends all together?
He blends all together a lot of the times, man. The beard just flows right into whatever he's wearing, man. I mean, it's just the way it is. But I'll tell you what, I love the cover. I think that Indie Bling here in Nashville did a great job with all of the artwork on the album, the vinyl, the CD looks great. And I'll tell you what, man, we wanted. I think this album we recorded as much for ourselves as anybody else, and I think in so doing, I think people will really appreciate it. With our young producer Dave Cobb, who is a legend already in Nashville. But this is the fourth album we've done with Dave. He calls us his crazy uncles, and he really loves us, and we love him, and we try to do something really different. It's like the Oak Ridge Boys, man, you've done everything. What can we do now to make it different than what you've done before? What can we re-engineer here? What can we reinvent? And how about four Oak Ridge Boys sitting on a porch singing old gospel, old country, new country songs, and with a front porch attitude? And that's what we did. And we recorded this thing right in the middle of the pandemic. Last August, we went into RCA Studio A with Dave.
Oh, yeah.
And we hadn't even seen each other in months, man. We were all shut down. So to get in the studio there with just a couple of players and an engineer and a producer, no visitors, no hangers-on, no nothing. Empty studio, man, adhering to the rules. And we got together, and I think we inadvertently may have recorded the perfect album for the time. There's some songs on there like Life is Beautiful and Love, Light, and Healing, but I think people are going to really latch on to, man. We've done a few of these on stage and at the Opry, and Love, Light, and Healing got a standing ovation from the first full house ever at the Opry, or first full house since the pandemic, just about a week or so ago. They went to full capacity. And I mean, we've sang at the Opry to nobody, and we've sang to partially full. And that night with a full house at the Opry and doing Love, Light, and Healing, man, whoa, it just went over so big. So I think Front Porch Singin' is going to be meaningful to people if they'll give it a shot. I really do. And it certainly is meaningful to us.
Joe Bonzel's here joining us from the Oak Ridge Boys. Also, too, you got the brand new album out. The 40th anniversary for Elvira as well this year.
How insane
Wow.
is that? I mean, 40 years, that's 1981, man. In 1981, I mean, nobody had an iPhone, that's for sure. Nobody even had internet till 86. Didn't even have a Mac until 84.
Wow.
And if you were listening to music, you weren't even listening on a compact disc yet because they came out in 82. So it was vinyl 8-tracks, cassettes. And no matter what you were doing in 81, you were hearing Elvira by the Oak Ridge Boys. It was a monster, a monster. We never saw anything like it up until then. Haven't seen anything like it since. And to this day, it holds up. When I, near the end of the show, go, let's sing Elvira. And everybody stands up, man, like it's the Hallelujah chorus. And I mean, and let's face it, man, let's face it. It ain't exactly Bridge Over Troubled Waters.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just a simple little fun song with a big bass lick on it. And me singing the lead, I'll tell you, when we decided to do that song, we were recording the Fancy Free album in 1980. We'd already had 5 gold albums. We already were on the big, gigantic 90 city tour with Kenny Rogers and Dottie West. We were the hot young guys in country. We were winning all the awards. And Elvira comes out and takes us, boom, right to being a household name. And in the studio, I remember just goofing off with it. Eyes that look like heaven. I didn't sing anything else like that. But I did on there because I was just goofing around. Maybe I should goof around more often.
It's made an iconic song. You know how they always put songs in the National Archives in Congress or whatever? That's one of those ones that needs to be in there.
It probably will be, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that year was a cool year in music. I mean, you had Betty Davis' Eyes, you had Jesse's Girl, you had Celebrate Good Times, Come On by Kool and the Gang, and you had Elvira. And it went to #1 in country and sold 1 million singles by June. That's unheard of. I'm talking 45s and not a gun. A 45 with a big hole in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
And then starting in July, as we released our second country single from the album, Fancy Free, which did great, that thing spilled over into the pop world and was played all summer into the fall, sold another 1 million singles alone, let alone several million album sales. So, I mean, it's just incredible what that little song did for the Oak Ridge Boys. I mean, and the cool thing about it was, I think, was that people knew it was us doing it because we were doing so much good TV back then, including The Tonight Show and everything else. Our manager, Jim Halsey, had us on every show there was we could be on, even Solid Gold and Midnight Special, you know? And we're singing Elvira on those shows, so people knew it was us. And I think that's kind of a big deal because all these years later, man, even as old as we are now, we can walk through an airport and some guy will go, hey, man, Elvira, oom, papa, meow, meow. So, you know, you can't get away from it even if you wanted to.
You know, you're right on that. Just the iconic status of that song, but the iconic status of you guys and what you've done for country music over the years and what you continue to do as well with the brand new album out. I love the fact that you kind of, over the last couple of years and things you guys have put out, obviously your Christmas stuff, and you've done a lot of great gospel stuff as well. And I love the fact you're doing some traditional country here as well. You guys are still going strong. I know you've been with the band, since 73. So I was born in 73. I was born in 73.
Wow.
So
there you go. So you look at that.
And you guys are still going strong at it.
We are, and we've got a big tour schedule. I mean, let's face it, we've been off enough. Let's go sing now. we know what it's like to be home every day, and that's fine. I love to be in home. Don't get me wrong. I've been on the road my whole life. This time being home has been precious to me. But boy, but taking away what we do for a living and the loss and sacrifice that went with it for us and all our people, I'm glad that's over. We have a busy June. I think we have 10 shows this month, and in fact, we're at Auburn University tomorrow night. And then July's a little bit light, but then from August till the end of the year, it's gangbusters. So we're going to be back out there singing and playing, and everybody's up for it. And, it's been amazing. I mean, I joined the Oak Ridge Boys in 73. Like you said, I was 25 years old, and I'm 73 now.
Wow.
So I've spent my whole life just about being one of the.
And you know what?
You know, hey, there goes one of the. Isn't that one of the?
I think it's one of the four, isn't it?
Yeah, one of the. We're of the. That's our middle name.
And, and you got your Christmas. You guys do a great Christmas tour as well, too. I know that'll keep you busy through all the way through the winter.
Well, we've done that for 30 straight years, and this year, like last year, thank God this came up last year. Every group in town was jealous of us. We will be going to Gaylord Opryland. We're going to be Christmas residency at Gaylord Opryland this year, and it won't be like partial crowds. It'll be full bore. And for 2 years in a row here, we've agreed to do the Gaylord Opryland thing. And that's kind of cool. You go down there and do your big Christmas show that you've been on the road with for 30 years and then come home. Kind of cool. But it did work out well last year. I didn't know if it would, but it did. And I'm really excited about going back and doing it this year, too.
Folks, he's a Grammy Award-winning group, a Hall of Famer. He's a published writer as well. And I guess you take care of that big old farm as well. I guess that's one upside in the pandemic. You probably kept that grass cut pretty good around that farm, didn't you?
I did. I didn't have to oh my God, we got dates to play this week. I got to get out there and cut grass. And I was able to just go out there and enjoy the place a lot and just enjoy it, get my work done, relax with it. And, that was a good thing. That was one of the good things. You know about my farm. That's cool. It's like 350 acres up on the Tennessee-Kentucky line, and, man, it's heaven up there, man.
Well, that's awesome indeed.
It's not as heavenly as West by God, Virginia.
That's right. We get you close to it here.
But it's close. Yeah. It's close.
Hey, Joe, we appreciate it. Thank you, sir. I know you got a tight schedule, and we look forward to catching up with you down the road. Folks, don't forget that brand new album coming out pretty soon, the Love, Light, and Healing, the first single. You'll be able to hear it on Big Buck 101.5. So, Joe, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. God bless.
Joe Bonsall, who, by the way, has been with the group since 1973. When you look at other things, Duane Allen, he's been there since 1966. And Duane is with us now. We start off talking things with Duane about getting back to work post-pandemic.
I am ready. We worked less than 20 dates in the last year and a half.
Wow. That's not like you guys.
We usually work 150 dates every year. And last March the 14th, when we were informed that the pandemic was on us, we parked our buses, and we've only worked less than 20 dates since that date.
Wow. I know you're excited to get back at it.
Well, from the 1st of June until December 25th, we've got 90 dates booked the rest of this year. We're ready to get to those dates.
A lot of bills to pay, and you're tired of doing a honey-do list, aren't you?
Yeah, I've enjoyed being at home. I love my wife. We've been married almost 52 years.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
And she gets prettier every day. And I love being at home, but what I was put on earth to do is sing with the Oak Ridge Boys, and I dearly miss the love that I feel from the audience coming back to us. And I feel that, I feel God gave me a light, and I feel like he gave the audience a reflector. And if I'm sending my light right, I feel it back from the audience.
Yeah.
And I miss feeling that. You being on radio, you know what I'm talking about. When you get calls into your show or letters or emails or whatever, you know that you're doing the right thing when you get some response back. Well, I get it immediately from the audience, and that's something it's had an empty place in my heart for a year and a half, and I'm ready to get back to that. I've really missed our fans and our friends and our audiences.
I was going to say, because you guys have been around for so long, you definitely are icons in the country music world and the gospel music world as well, because you guys do a ton of gospel music as well. But you're like a part of a family. I mean, you're part of our family, and that's the thing. You get separated from your family for that long, it's just going to be extra special. Imagine be some tears and some eyes when you guys get back out there.
Well, we've already gone through that.
Yeah.
Boy, that was, and we have that in our heart already from every show we do. We just look around at each other and our hearts and our eyes, we're saying, boy, we're back. We're getting to do what we love to do. And my young drummer that's in his 30s, wow, I can hardly remember that. I'm twice as old as he is. He just says to me and lips me while somebody is taking a lead, I'm going to kick your butt around, And I just love that, because everybody has, everybody's been itching to get back on stage, and we've taken care of all of our employees and kept them all insured, and we've not lost any employees. And I'm just so thankful that God is taking care of our health.
Mm-hmm.
The Oak Ridge Boys are old men now. We're granddads. Some of us are great granddads. We've taken this period of time to get things fixed. We're kind of like a used car. We've gone in for overhauling, and we're all ready to go.
And get ready to get back at it. And you guys, it's one of the things, if you want to look at positives that came from the pandemic in the music world, that gave folks an opportunity. They were home. They weren't on the road. They were collaborating. There was a whole bunch of new music that came out of the pandemic, and that's one of which for you guys, a whole new album that's just come out called Porch Singin. And you guys worked with Dave Cobb again, which is fantastic. You go back into Fame Studio A as well, too. But tell folks about this album. I know there's a lot of gospel music on here and a lot of old classic country sound and stuff.
Well, David Cobb wanted to do an album with the Oak Ridge Boys with us sitting on the front porch and having a front porch singing type of attitude. So we all embrace that because we have a section in our Christmas show where we sit in the Cracker Barrel rocking chairs and we sing familiar songs and we tell stories about how we were all raised and where we come from. And that's the most popular part of our Christmas show. And David came to our Christmas show and saw that. And he said, man, we need to do an entire album of country and gospel songs just like that. And so we started working on that. I started pulling out songs that we're familiar with. He said, let's do familiar songs, and I'll get our stable of writers to start writing for this. So when the pandemic hit, I just really buried up with a bunch of the new hit writers in town and a lot of David's writers. And the song Love, Light, and Healing, for example, Aaron Rattier and his mother wrote that song for this album. That was one of the first songs we picked. And that is really what the message we want to get out. Love, light, and healing. We all need love, light, and healing. Home, family, and friends, that's what we need. And the album just went in that direction. I found a song that Keb Mo wrote called Life is Beautiful. Life is wondrous. Every star above is shining just for us. Life is beautiful, even on a stormy night, because somewhere in the world, the sun is shining bright. Well, God created this world so that every 24 hours I get a chance that the sun is going to shine on me. So I feel like that we're giving a message to the people that you may be down, just like every 24 hours there's night. Yep. But every 24 hours there's also sunshine. So let's not get down and stay there, because even God provided us the biggest part of our day is sunshine. You can see. So let's look toward the sunshine when we pick these songs that we want to record to cheer people up and let them know there's going to be a better day, that we're getting past this. And so that's how this whole album came down.
Duane Allen's here with us from the Oak Ridge Boys for a few more minutes and talking about the brand new album that is just out now, Front Porch Singin'. Of course, the new single, Love, Light, and Healing as well. And you guys are going back out on tour. And on tour, you're celebrating the 40th anniversary of Elvira.
Oh, yeah. We're celebrating her because she's been really good to us. And we still like to Papa, Mau, Mau, no matter where we go. That's probably one of the most popular songs in music history. It makes all the list of the most popular songs that has a gimmick in it. I think probably Richard Sturban is the most popular bass singer around the entire globe. We walk down an airport with the four of us together, and people yell out Elvira, and somebody will follow that with Papa, Mau, Mau. So it's been really good to us. It helped us all get a new house.
Did it? Did that come together? That Papa, Mau, Mau? Did that come like just working in the studio? Somebody just said, "Hey, let's try this." And where did Elvira come from?
In 1966, before I was a member of the Oak Ridge Boys, I was with a group called the Prophets. Now, before that, I was in college. I studied classical music, and I graduated in 1965 in January. Right after that, I joined a group called the Prophets Quartet out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Joe Muscayo was the manager and piano player, and he and I would come to Nashville, and we would stay at the Noel Hotel. They had a speaker on the wall that played one station, WSM. Mm-hmm. And at night, Ralph Emery had the all-night radio show, and Tex Ritter was the co-host. Marty Robbins was there at times. And on one night there that we were staying, we came to Nashville looking for songs. this young writer came in who had been a member of the Hollywood Argylls. He walked into the studio, and his name is Dallas Frazier, and he sang Elvira. That was in '66. 15 years later, I remembered that song almost word for word because I'd heard it that night as I would lay awake dreaming that one time, sometime in the future, we would have a hit.
Mm-hmm.
And when they came and pitched it to us and said, here's a song that this song plugger heard a group in Texas in a lounge do. They think that you could do it if we could have Richard doing the Papa Mau Mau. And we did it just like Dallas wrote it, except for a few things like Joe Bonzel had never heard it. He's from Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. And he sang Elvira. Well, on the original record, Dallas Frazier went down on Elvira. Elvira, Elvira. Joe kept it up. So I think a few little things like that we did that kept it up and happy, and then Richard busting the bottom out on the bass notes. I think those cute little things we did, just a few things to change it a little bit. It's been really good to us. People know it everywhere. I think the most gratifying thing that comes to me is when I see special needs children, and of all ages really, in the audience start to come alive and brighten up and mouth those words. Some of them singing, some of them dancing, some of them moving their hands uncontrollably, but they respond to Elvira, and especially that and Thank God for Kids. Mm-hmm. They claim those songs as theirs, and to have been blessed by God to have those two songs in our repertoire that we can communicate with special needs kids and among all of our other hits. I think we've been a truly blessed group, and that may be the reason that God is keeping on blessing us so that we can still communicate with all people.
You know, the great thing about it, I think, with this new title of the new single, Love, Light, and Healing for you guys, you bring so much love to all your fans. You shine the light for them all when it comes musically to kind of make them feel better. And then the healing part of it, you talked about working with kids and other people. We know music can be a healing thing, and you guys take care of all of that for us. And Duane, we thank you for all you guys do. Congratulations on the new album, the 40th anniversary, and we look forward to seeing you guys back out there.
Well, thank you, Jason, and thank you all to all of our fans and friends in Huntington and surrounding areas. We worked there so many years, and thank you so much for this time we got to visit with you. God bless you all.
Yeah, God bless you too, sir. Thank you very much. We'll look forward to seeing you soon, sir.
Me too.
All right.
Bye-bye now.
This is the Big Buck Legends One-on-One Podcast.
Once again, here's Jason Toy.
Richard Sturban is the familiar bass voice for the Oak Ridge Boys, been with the group since 1972, and before he joined the group, he had a great career with some legendary people like Elvis. Remember that guy? So we're going to sit down now and talk with Richard Sturban about getting back to work and about the brand new album.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure once again to be able to talk to you. You're right. We had a difficult time for a while here. Everyone was shut down, including the recording studios here in Nashville. But finally, things started to open up a little bit. And, during normal times, when you work with Dave Cobb, you have to wait your turn, because he is so much in demand. He really is. And especially during a pandemic. But then he finally called us and said he was ready to work. And he said what he wanted to do was to kind of capture the feeling of just like four guys kind of gathering on a front porch and just kind of singing and harmonizing in a very informal way, very kind of a very down to earth kind of a way. And that's what he was able to do. He was able to capture the four voices and the real true heart and soul of the Oak Ridge Boys in the process. As you said, there's some great old songs, some great familiar songs. There's some great gospel songs, songs that we grew up singing as kids, like in church and in Sunday school. But then Dave Cobb also has a relationship or a rapport with some of today's new, young, hot songwriters here in Nashville. And they wrote some brand new, great country songs as well for this project. So there's a nice balance, a nice mixture some really great music here. But I think just about every song on the project contains a message that is very inspirational in nature, very healing in nature, if I could put it that way. I don't know that we originally planned for it to happen that way, but as the project developed, that's kind of the theme that developed. And I think the album, the overall project, contains messages that I think we really need to hear now in the day and age in which we live, especially considering what we have gone through here this past year plus, here in our country. So we're really happy with the way it turned out.
And you talk about one of the songs off that album, and I think it's appropriate that's the first release off the album, and it's Love, Light, and Healing. And I think that kind of signifies coming out of this pandemic, to getting life back to normal, to getting back, everything back to the faith a little bit,
Well, I think you're right about it. I think that's what we need in this day and age. We have a lot of problems in our country. There's no question about it. And we, as the Oak Ridge Boys, we've always tried to stay out of politics, and because we don't feel like that's our place. We feel like it's our place to sing songs. But what we always tell people is that the real answer to our problems is not in politics. It's in the good Lord above, and we try to sing music that talks about that very thing.
Richard Sturban is here with us from the Oak Ridge Boys. Richard, you're approaching a milestone with the band here in a couple of years, your 50th anniversary. I know you joined back in 1972 with the band, and to go back a little bit, I always love talking about this with you whenever I have a chance to catch up with you. Before the Oak Ridge Boys, in growing up in New Jersey, and then having the opportunity to sing and perform and tour and record and everything else with the King Elvis Presley. What was that like for you at a young age like that, to be able to do that?
You're right. It was certainly a great experience, and especially now that a lot of time has passed by, and I have a chance to reflect on what happened almost 50 years ago. I'm so thankful that I was able to experience that. J.D. Sumner. For about 2 years before I joined the Oak Ridge Boys, I sang with a group called J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet. And J.D. Sumner was a real influence on me. He's what people don't realize, I think, is the fact that he is actually in the Guinness Book of World Records as the world's lowest bass singer.
That's right.
But he hired me. And he was a real influence on me, and I was glad I was able to experience that. But I was with JD in just a short period of time when JD got a phone call from Elvis. JD and Elvis were friends. They knew each other from living in Memphis together for many years, and Elvis wanted to hire a new backup group. And so he hired JD and the Stamps, and I happened to be there. So I was in the right place at the right time, really. And I ended up singing with the King of Rock and Roll. What an experience. Back then, Elvis was the biggest star in the world. There's no doubt about it. His tour was the biggest tour in the music business. And to be a part of it was very, very exciting. I have some great memories, some very fond memories of the times I spent with Elvis. And I got to know him, just a little bit. So, I'm so thankful as I said, I was able to experience that. One thing happened, though, that changed my life, and I'll try to make this as quick as possible. One thing that happened that changed my life while I was singing with Elvis, apparently on top of the world, I got a phone call one day from William Lee Golden of the Oak Ridge Boys. He's the guy in our group, as most people know, with the long beard. Back then, he did not have that long beard. He was Mr. GQ. But he called me, and he said that the bass singer in the Oak Ridge Boys was leaving the group, and the Oak Ridge Boys wanted to know if I would be interested in taking his place. So here I was, singing with Elvis, apparently on top of the world, singing with the King of Rock and Roll, but I had to make a decision. What do I do? And I have to admit that at the same time, I was a big fan of the Oak Ridge Boys. I loved the music that they were making back then, and I felt like the group had a great deal of potential, and I really wanted to be a part of it. So back in 1972, I made the decision to leave Elvis and to join the Oak Ridge Boys. And and a lot of people, how could you do that? But I really believed I was doing the right thing. I believed in my heart I was doing the right thing. And now, almost 50 years later, when I look back on all the great things that happened, not just to me personally, but all four Oak Ridge boys, when I look back on all that, I think that back in 1972, I made a pretty good decision back there.
And folks, I highly encourage you folks out there to get Richard's book from Elvis to Elvira. It's a great book and a great history there of Richard Sturban and where he is today with the Oak Ridge boys. Now, I do have one quick question before I move on from this. And you talked about J.D. Sumner and performing in his group. And I do remember that he has the world record for the lowest tone recorded, right? The lowest bass tone ever recorded by a human voice. Did you ever try to beat that record?
Oh, of course you try. you can't help but trying. There's no, but he was when it came to the low tones, the low notes. JD was the king. There's no doubt about it. He had a talent that the good Lord gave him that was very, very special. Yeah, no doubt about it. But I kind of experienced something very similar. As you probably know, this is the 40th anniversary of Elvira this year.
Yeah.
And we've been singing Elvira for years and years and years. And even now, 40 years later, when we go on and we go on stage and we sing that song, people still go crazy out there. People get up and start dancing and singing along. You can't listen to Elvira without smiling and having a good time. It's almost impossible. But for me, one of the most fun things is when I get to the Giddy Up, Oom Papa Mau Mau part, to look out into the audience and see all the men trying to sing along with me. I always get that's always a lot of fun for me personally.
And it truly is an iconic line. I mean, it truly is. When you think about it, when you hear that, you know exactly what song it is.
There's no doubt about it. The song was written by Dallas Frazier, who's really a neighbor of ours here in Tennessee. He wrote the song many years ago, and he wrote the Giddy Up Boom Papa Mau Mau part in there. But on his record and other records of Elvira, it was not done by a bass voice. Ron Shancy, who was our producer, who produced most of the number one records on the Oak Ridge Boys, when we got into the studio, it was his idea for me to do that line, Giddy Up, Oom Papa, Mau Mau. So I just took that line and I adapted it to my way of doing things, and I guess it turned out okay.
Hey, it worked out perfect indeed. Richard Sturban is here with us. Richard, before we let you go, I do have to ask you, because anytime you and I get a chance to talk, I got to ask you about baseball. How do you liking the season so far?
Well, it's kind of I'm loving the baseball season, and we have a great AAA team here in Nashville. I love the AAA baseball, but I love as much, if not more, than Major League Baseball right now is college baseball. And as you may or may not know, right here in Nashville, we've got a great college team, Vanderbilt. My Vandy boys, they're going to Omaha again, and I'm so excited about it. I really am. Yeah.
Do you you do some radio with them sometimes too, right? Don't you do some color commentating?
I have in the past. Yeah. I've actually sat in. Tim Corbin, the coach, he allowed me to go up into the press box and kind of hang out, and I've actually on many occasions sat in with the Vandy broadcaster and did some color commentary. Now, I used to own part of the Nashville Sounds, our AAA team, and I actually did some of that there as well. So it's kind of like a hobby of mine that I kind of always enjoyed playing with a little bit.
And two quick things: I never realized that how into fashion that you are and design and clothing design. I mean, I always know every time I see you, everything's pressed and looks good. I didn't realize that that's one of your passions, along with wine.
Well, many years ago, back even before I started singing, and I was kind of singing part-time even on the side, I sold men's clothes. I worked in a department store in Philadelphia called Gimbel's, and in fact, it's not even there any longer. The store went out of business many years ago, and they closed all the stores down. But I sold men's clothing, and I spent so much time selling quality men's clothes to men that I developed a taste for clothing. So I guess that's kind of where it went back to those days when I sold men's clothing.
Who has the bigger closet, you or the wife?
It's pretty close.
And also, too, you and I have something in common, that we're both weather geeks. I grew up as a kid idolizing our meteorologist where I grew up in Tampa, and, writing letters, and we exchanged correspondence back and forth, and I just developed a passion for weather. I never realized and put two and two together that you're the voice of NOAA, the National Weather Service. That's pretty cool.
Well, you're right. I did do that. They got in touch with me. The NOAA weather people got in touch with me several years ago, and when they found out that I had an interest in weather, and they asked me if I would cut some PSAs, some public service announcements, to promote NOAA weather radios. And I think it's important. I think a NOAA weather radio can save your life in an emergency, and so I think it was very important. And so, I developed an interest in weather when I was in college. I actually I had a course in meteorology.
Oh, yeah.
And it kind of spurred my interest to want to know more about weather. So over the course of the years, I've become a Weather Channel junkie. And one thing I would love to do someday, it'll probably never happen. I love to go on the scene with Jim Cantori and experience one of those hurricanes. I think that would really be something, but maybe not.
I was going to say, strap yourself in and hold on from that wind.
Yeah.
Richard Sturban, sir, we appreciate everything. You and the Oak Ridge Boys, folks. Don't forget the new album called Porch Singin is out now, and you can hear Love, Light, and Healing not only on our radio station, but also everywhere you can. And Richard, I know you guys are back out hitting the road, and looking forward to catching up with you. Be safe, God's blessings, and look forward to enjoying a whole lot more great music from you guys.
Well, thank you, Jason. It's always a pleasure, and enjoyed it once again, sir.
Finally, here on our Big Buck Legends one-on-one podcast today, sitting down with the Oak Ridge Boys. Don't get a chance too often to sit down with William Lee Golden. He's usually the quiet one of the group. Of course, he's the iconic one in the group with the big old long beard that he's had. And, of course, he's been with the band since 1965. Had a little break. Left the band in 1987, came back in 1995. And he also, in addition to the new music with the band, he has got a brand new book out as well. Here's William Lee Golden. Well, we're joined now by one of the greats. Of course, been talking a lot about the Oak Ridge Boys, and get a chance to talk to this gentleman. It's always a pleasure talking about William Lee Golden. William, how are you, sir?
Jason, I'm doing good today. It's a beautiful day here in Middle Tennessee, and so everything's good here. I'm excited about being on your show here in Ashland, Kentucky, and so I'm here to talk about, I guess, my new book and the Oak Ridge Boys' brand new album, Porch Singin.
Well,
and these projects that I've been involved with.
I'll say you've been a busy man here. Before we talk about the new album from the Oak Ridge Boys, plus the 40th anniversary for Elvira, let's talk about the book. It's called Behind the Beard, which your iconic long beard. And I was joking around the other day with Joe Bonzel about the fact that I can't tell sometimes now where the shirt begins and the beard begins because it's all blended together over the last handful of years. But
yeah,
the iconic beard for you. How long? When was the last time you shaved that beard off?
Well, I lost my razor in 1980, so I haven't found it since. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Is it a lot of upkeep for you?
It's not. It's kind of like it's shampoo, wash it, and rinse it, and towel dry and drip dry.
Well, let's talk about the book. Obviously, it's the title of the book, Behind the Beard. Tell folks about what they expect to see to read in this.
Well, it's a book that Scott England helped me write. He come over here and asked a lot of questions. We've spent, in the past year, we started writing this a little over about a month ago, and anyhow, it's taken 9 months to get the book written. But he got into a lot of things. He went back to my hometown, talked to my sister, went to the farm there where I grew up. I was down there when he come to visit, and there at our old home place. That's where I was there for the week. When he come down the first trip to talk to me, and but we've met a lot of times, and he's discussed a lot of things. He's talked with my first wife and got her story about me and our sons, my three oldest sons, and he talked with her, got photos and pictures and the story of me and my infidelity and what happened, and then the story of her and my girlfriend at the time, they getting together and what they did and set me up to, and all of that's in there. But my pictures of all, I've been married 4 times. The road's kind of rough on some people. Mm-hmm. And a lot of my situations and marriages of, being on the road, it's, like I say, it can be rough on relationships. And but I accept my personal responsibility for my faults and shortcomings and for my part in some of these relationships not making it. And anyhow, all that's in there. But the deal with Oak Ridge Boys, it's like over 200 photographs in there. And there's photographs with me and my 4 different wives. There's photographs of me in 1965 when I first joined the Oaks. It's photographs of me and the FFA quartet in high school I was singing in. First quartet I ever sang with. So there's a lot of photos, a lot of stories, a lot of pictures, and not only all of my stories, but I invited him to call anybody that we're talking about, get their side of the story, because sometimes it can be the same story, but the way you see it, the way I see it may be a lot different, So why don't we you're free to talk to anybody. And so he did, and some of the stuff is, some of that's in there. And anyhow, it's certainly not, some things I've done I'm not proud of, but it's certainly things that that I've experienced. It's brought me to this point of life, and so today I'm happy and I'm excited about today and tomorrow and the future. So I think we all need to accept who we are, and I've never set out to try to hurt anybody. And my mistakes have been trying to have fun and having a good time. And sometimes it's, when you get other people involved, emotions and things, it can lead to a lot of complications. And so for anyone I've ever heard or anything, I apologize.
Was this book, was putting this all together and putting it down on paper and putting it out there and getting everything off your mind and off your chest, was it, I hate to use the word liberating for you, but was it something that you can kind of step back and take a deep breath and realize I'm kind of at peace with everything now?
Well, it's something that's, it seemed like that you're taking your clothes off in front of cameras that the whole world's looking at you. Mm-hmm. So it can be intimidating. It can be embarrassing. So that's kind of what it is. You're opening up yourself to be examined, basically. And so that's kind of what this goes into. And like I say, there's pictures from the very beginning with me, all the way up through. There's over 200 of them. There's over 300-page book. So it's been an interesting thing. I've learned things in this book that I didn't know. Some of the accounts of my first wife, of what was going on behind the scenes that I wasn't aware of, and her and my girlfriends and things like that were plotting to set me, to get me to the point of finding out when I was trying to love 2 women. I sang that song, but my life was parallel with the song at that particular time that the song was out. So there's a lot of stuff in this book that it's stuff that's sobering and stuff you have to realize that, hey, I did that. Yeah. I'm guilty of that.
William Lee Golden's here with us, folks. You can check out his new book called Behind the Beard. You can get it at WilliamLeeGoldenBook.com and all the other outlets as well. And, William, I know you're pressed on time, so let me ask you this real quick. The brand new album, Front Porch Singin', with you and the boys there, and then also the 40th anniversary for Elvira this year. It's part of the focal point of your all's tour this year as well, too. So congratulations on that, the anniversary. And Another great album. A lot of great gospel music on this album.
It is, and it really is. We did some old gospel songs. We did some new gospel songs, some old country, some new gospel on that. And I went to the studio with my sons this past year, and Chris and Rusty and Craig and our family band, and we went in the studio during the pandemic when they were shut down. I was shut down. We were not allowed. We were kind of sequestered, so to speak, and was shut in. But we went in the studio and started recording. I had a vision to go in with my sons and cut these old songs. I took them back to my childhood where I started. We did 12 old gospel songs. We did recorded 10 old traditional classic country songs. And then we recorded another album of more pop and country rock songs that my sons played and sang and on a lot of them, and I sang with them, let them take the lead. And so we've got 3 albums, 32 songs recorded besides the 12 albums with the Oak Ridge Boys. So it's been a healing experience for me through a pandemic. Through music.
What about the with Front Porch Singing with you and the Oak Ridge Boys as well? So you guys went into Dave Cobb in the studio, one of the great guys. I'll tell you what, every time Dave Cobb puts his hands on something, it kind of turns into gold. But it's another great one for you guys.
It is, and Dave is, he's one of the hottest producers in Nashville today. He's producing Chris Stapleton. He just produced Barry Gibb's new album. He's did the High Women album, the girls, and 4 girls. Anyhow, he's really the hottest guy there right now. He just did a new album with Travis Tritt. So anyhow, we're excited to be working with Dave again. It's our 4th album that we worked with him, our last 4 albums. So he does have a magic of getting in there. It's a simple. He keeps it simple and not complicated, and it's all about the feel of the song and being able to present the words of the songs and the feeling of it.
Well, William Lee Golden, sir, we appreciate it. Congratulations on you guys on all the success for the Oak Ridge Boys, obviously in every Hall of Fame you can think of, and well-deserved for it, and also the new album, the 40th anniversary for Elvira this year. I know that's one of the iconic songs you guys have to perform every night, right?
Well, that's a fun time of the show, too. So we love Elvira. It is 40 years. It's been 40 years. 1981 is when it was released. And it was 40 years ago, the summer, everybody was singing Elvira and Papa Mau Mau.
You probably hear that in your sleep, don't you?
Yeah. Thank you, Jason.
Hey, William Lee, we appreciate you, sir. Thank you for all you do for music and country music and the fans out there, and continue to do to this day. Good luck with the book, okay?
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks for letting me be on your show.
All right, God's blessings to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it, folks. All 4 members of Country Music Hall of Famers, the Oak Ridge Boys, celebrating their 40th anniversary for Elvira, and they're still going strong. That brand new album is out called Front Porch Singin', and, of course, the new single, Love, Light, and Healing. And they're on tour, and they'll get ready for their Christmas tour that they'll do later on this year. Of course, some residencies that they'll do there in Nashville at the Opryland Hotel. And also, too, they'll be making a handful of stops there at the theater in Branson, Missouri. Thanks for checking in with our Big Buck Legends one-on-one podcast. God bless. Be safe, folks. And don't forget to subscribe and tell your friends about our Big Buck Legends one-on-one podcast. Have a great day.
All right, son, the party's over.
You've been listening to your Big Buck Legends one-on-one podcast.
Thank you for checking us out. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast.
Okay, I need to tell you 2 things.
If you want to contact us, you can email us at studio@bigbuck1015.com or find us online at bigbuck1015.com.
The Big Buck Legends one-on-one podcast has been a production of Kindred Digital, Toy Production Services, and your home for the legends.
Big Buck Country 1015.